Merry Meet, Annie here. This is another in my This Witch's Way series, and today I wanted to talk a little bit about prayer. We might call it pagan prayer. Specifically, we'll have to call it Annie's prayer, or the way I go about it. And the reason I thought I would share this is you will see on my channel, I have uploaded today a prayer for the people of Japan. Sometimes when we are finding ourselves in discussions with multi-faith groups or with individuals from other walks, other ways of experiencing spirituality and connection, the question we get, I know the most common question I get is, do I believe in God? To which I can answer absolutely, perhaps confound them a bit with that answer, but then it leads to a wonderful discussion. The second thing I'm asked very often is, do I pray? And most absolutely, I pray. If prayer is considered a conversation with the divine. So when I was faced this past week, as so many of us were, with wanting to express concern and love and caring for the people of Japan, I found immediate ways to meet that need and to feel as if I were making a difference. And at first that was going to be something I held private, the work that I am doing, the active prayer I am offering on behalf of the people of Japan. And then I was inspired in honesty by Bob Hickman, who's someone I've only come into his video circle, only a few weeks ago, although it seems now as if I've known him forever, because he is someone who inspires us with love and compassion. And when I saw that he opened his heart and shared how he would react and what he would offer up in support of the people of Japan and some of the sadness in the world, I thought, there's a This Witch's Way topic. So I'm going to use this as an example, a specific example, and I'll start by thanking Bob for the moments of beauty and peace and love that he offered as I was considering this week what my offering would be. Thank you, Bob. Truly, deeply, thank you. So how do I turn prayer, active prayer, offering of energy, in a situation like this one where our human brothers and sisters are around the world and we're not part of their life or their culture, and we have, most of us, because we're very lucky in our lives, not experienced sadness and great trauma as Japan is experiencing now. I often find that my connection to the earth, to the elements, is the answer for feeling helpless in the face of wanting to do something and not knowing what. And of course there's donations we can make to organizations like the Red Cross. There are things we can do in the physical sense, but I truly believe, as a person of prayer and a person who relates deeply and devotedly with great passion to the divine, that by offering prayers, that offering of love, that energy becomes available in some form, some shape, at the place you intend it to be felt, to be experienced. I often find that my prayer in a situation like this can align myself with the deities of the place that I'm holding in my thoughts. Now, I'm not going to pretend that I am an expert on the gods and goddesses of ancient Japan, nor do I understand how the modern Japanese relate to them, but I do believe that by the studies I have taken on in my life, most especially of goddesses throughout time and history, that I've come to understand some of their culture and definitely have come to understand their land and their connection to the land that they grew up from, and therefore the people that were part of that land. I had the good fortune a few years ago to teach a year-long class to a group of women through my UU church. And it was called Rise Up and Call Her Name. And there were a selected group of goddesses that were studied rather in depth in that year. And we took on actions in support of that study, learning their stories and chanting and dancing, meditating and celebrating the goddesses. And a good learning from that, as it often is as we study gods and goddesses with so many pantheons, is never at any point was I thinking that I truly understood what it was like to be Japanese and to be in relationship to this particular deity. But I do know what it came to mean to me, what I learned of that deity's culture and that deity's people and the land. And in that class, I came to know Amaterasu, sun goddess, ancient goddess of Japan. And in fact, her symbol we see in the modern world as the orange circle on the flag of Japan is her symbol of the sun. The flag isn't used as much as it used to be. In fact, I read someplace recently that the flag of Japan is not present in the world because of the sometimes negative feelings it brings back for people who remember its part in a sad part of the world's past. And what a shame, because it represents the people and the land. And for those of us who practice any form of earth-centered and goddess-centered spirituality, the goddess is on the flag. And that's beautiful. Now, Amaterasu's mythology, like so many gods and goddesses of all cultures, is very complex and convoluted and emotional. And she is either gloriously happy or terribly upset. She's very human in her divinity. And the most powerful part of her myth is that she was angry, for many reasons, with her brother. And out of her anger, she left and went into a cave. And when she went into the cave, the whole world became dark. The whole world became dark. And the humans wanted her back so bad, and the other gods wanted her back so bad, because obviously without her light, without the blessing of the sun, nothing could live. And there were all kinds of efforts made to lure her out of that cave, and nothing was really working. And there were magical mirrors, I think, used, and there were beautiful gems that were supposed to tempt her to come out, and nothing was working. And the world was in darkness. And there was great sadness. And then along came Uzumi. And Uzumi was the goddess of hilarity. She's kind of like Balbo. She's overly happy and joyous and raunchy and earthy and just delightfully enthusiastic. And she danced before the cave. Her dance was reported to be rowdy, and she took off parts of her clothes and flaunted her body, and she laughed, and the people who were there and the gods who attended laughed. And Amaterasu was so curious to know what was happening outside of her cave that she peeked out. And the more curious she became, the more she peeked out, moved out of her cave, slowly with the light, the sun, returning to the earth. And when she came out of the cave, the gods blocked the cave behind her so she could not get back in. At that point, she didn't care too much because she was laughing and enjoying the antics of the dancing Uzume. And what's that have to do with prayer? Knowing that story, appreciating that part of the ancient history of Japan, honoring that time and that place's connection to the elements, to the land, to the divine, seen as the sun, the feminine sun, which we don't get the opportunity to see the sun as the feminine divine too often. Understanding that story is a connection to the land of Japan. And so I thought, from the other side of the world, how could I connect to the land and what has happened there, and the people and what has happened to them. The power of my own version of pagan prayer is that through understanding the mythology, through understanding what Amaterasu represented and what Uzume represented, I could connect to the land of Japan and the spirit of Japan and the people of Japan, not in any way presuming to worship Amaterasu, but understanding what she represented and allowing that to connect me to a place which is far, far away and so very different from the place I live. I wanted to share that in my This Witch's Way as what the power of prayer can be. This fascinating world of pagan prayer where we can connect to the energies and the deities from throughout the world and throughout time. And it's a gift to know these stories and to learn what these times and these places were like and allow us to connect it to where we are now, across the miles, across the globe in this case. So I sat down and I wrote a prayer to Amaterasu, keeping in mind her heritage and what she represented, and feeling as a modern woman on the other side of the world what I could connect to and who she was to the land and the people of the land. And I lit a candle for her, and I chanted. And I share in the video I post separately what that was for me, hoping that it would inspire others for just a moment, so that others may for a moment with me perhaps hold thoughts of that land which might seem far away, which truly can live in our hearts as we show concern and love for the people of Japan, that offer that up. I truly believe that love offered to the ether, raised up and freely offered, will in some way make a difference. And the beauty of prayer, especially of pagan prayer, is we don't need to know how that happens. We trust in our God and our goddess, that what we offer makes a difference. It changes reality in some way, that the energy we create on the other side will come back, showered down as the love that we offered up, back to those who need it in that place which to me can seem so far away and so unlike my own land, but which is not. We share our humanity. We share beautiful countries and love of the land. And so I offered up my love for the people of Japan. This witch prays. Mary Part.